Good Wednesday afternoon. This is the More with Less podcast, and I couldn't be much more pleased today than to bring to you the voice of the Deacons, Stan Cotten. Stan, welcome to the More with Less podcast. We talked about this for a year, and it's finally came to fruition.
Here we are. I am honored that you would have me on, and I'm looking forward to a conversation with you. I really am.
Well, thanks for being on, Stan. First of all, before we get into some of the more fun topics, what has the last couple of months been like on the Cotten compound?
Well, I mean, it's some people know, some don't. I've been on furlough for a little while now, and I can say that the radio ranch probably looks, grounds at least, look better now earlier than they have in years past, simply because this time of year, working during the week rather, and then doing wake baseball on the weekends, a lot of the weekends. So there's not a lot of free time this time of year to work on the lawn and the landscape and all that. So I've been hard at work in that regard. And so earlier than maybe ever before, my place looks at least presentable. And actually, I've been called back by Learfield IMG for about 20% each week. So still an odd situation, and each of us has to deal with, a different kind of new normal right now. And hopefully we'll get back to the old normal sooner than later, if that is ever possible. We'll see. But it's been an unusual time, certainly for me, as it has been for everybody else.
So instead of 100% cotton, we only get 20% cotton
That's right.
now.
That's right. Just 20%. That's right. And I have a little more tan on my body, mostly my hands and arms, than I might usually have this time of year.
So whereas the rest of America dug into Tiger King and Ozark on Netflix, what, besides tidying up the ranch, what has Stan Cotten found himself getting into from an entertainment perspective to pass the time in this weird era?
I watch a lot of DIY network. So I think I've probably seen every home renovation, every landscape renovation possibly ever produced and created. So, and I try to use those to, I'm certainly no expert at any of that stuff, but I try to learn a little bit and then apply that to my place here. And so I've been watching a lot of that. I did watch Ozark. We've been watching that. We finished that. We finished Homeland, which my wife and I have enjoyed for a long time. And we're into music. I know you are too, Les. We've watched The Voice. We've watched American Idol. Those are a lot of fun. We've watched those for years. And so between some music and some building and landscape, I think we're all caught up.
We actually went through Ozark over the last month. Homeland was incredible, but I'm not caught up with it.
Okay.
I don't know how many seasons they went, but I'm probably like 2.5 to 3 seasons behind, and I probably need to fix that. So
I think it was 8, maybe. And Carrie's character just drove me crazy every single year, and it will right up until the end. But it's I thought it was very well done. One of the better series we've watched. It evokes a lot of emotion, but it's good right up until the very end. So I would continue for you to, or I would encourage you to run that ground ball
out. Obviously, we got big news yesterday. Stan, congratulations. You are being inducted in the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. Got that press release yesterday. What's your thoughts on that distinction?
Well, it just means I'm getting old. One, I think they don't put 25-year-olds in halls of fame, so it's an honor. That's where I grew up and went to high school and college at Tennessee, and a lot of my family, a lot of my wife's family, still there, and so Knoxville has great meaning to us. It always will, and in a way, it's still home for us with most of our family still there. But it's where I cut my teeth in media. For as long as I could, I was an athlete, and then when I couldn't do that anymore, and got into media, it's where I got my first opportunities at WIVK Radio and Carson Newman University doing play-by-play, and I did some television there in the late 1980s, and just was where I got the career I'm on right now started, kind of jump started. And so having those folks in Knoxville recognize me is very satisfying. I'm humbled by it, and it's a great class. And there've been a lot of media folks over the years whom I respect so much that are in this Hall of Fame. So it's an honor for sure. It's going to be a lot of fun here in a few weeks to go back to Knoxville and be inducted. Because of the COVID, they're not
Yeah.
really having a normal induction ceremony. They're going to have a small private dinner. I think Charles Davis, the NFL analyst now for CBS, I think he's moved from Fox to CBS, will be there. He's a great human being. I've known him for a long time, and a Tennessee Volunteer. But he'll be there, and I think maybe next year, hopefully by next summer, when things are kind of back to normal, we'll be able to go back. This class will be able to go back and be maybe formally inducted. But I guess you can go back home again. So it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm honored, and just have shared the microphone with so many great people over the years. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, in addition to that, I mean, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong here, 4 times you've won North Carolina Sportscaster of the Year awards.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're most proud of? What are you most proud of in terms of your accomplishments through your career, Stan?
Oh, I don't know, Les. I worked with so many good people. We've had, in terms of just the broadcast, I mean, and Les, you're around us. It takes more than one individual to put those broadcasts together. It takes a whole crew, and I've just been blessed with great crews over the years. Certainly here at Wake Forest, and Marshall before that, and Carson Newman before that, in terms of play-by-play of football and basketball. But I was thinking about that over the last couple of days, and people a lot of times will ask me about what game's your favorite, or those types of things. And, my brain doesn't work that way. I remember more just the relationships with people, my broadcast partners, the technical folks that help us, and, sports information people, administrators, members of the teams, obviously the coaches. I remember those types of things stick to me more than games. I remember the big games. I mean, you do that, but I don't know. And maybe that's a sign of getting older too, a little bit. But just have been so fortunate over the years to work with some really good pros. And right now, when I think of my 2 main partners, Larry Sorensen and Mark Freidinger, I mean, my goodness, Mark Freidinger is as respected a basketball guy as there is in the country, and Larry Sorensen's got such a great story. I mean, pitched in the All-Star game, and his personal story of redemption and just resiliency is very inspiring, and to be around him on a daily basis in football and baseball is terrific. So just again, surrounded by a lot of great people, and that's what I remember the most.
You talked about not really being able to draw upon like the greatest games you've called or whatever, but you have been a part of some pretty historic Wake Forest basketball teams, and this current run in football is arguably, if not the best, at least one of the best 2 runs the football program's ever been a part of. That has to be a lot of fun to call, right?
Absolutely. Let's start with football. The run that Jim Grobe had back in 06, and leading up to that, and then a few years after that, was historic. I mean, an ACC championship in 06 and the 2007 Orange Bowl. We're there at the Orange Bowl down in Miami, and I mean, you've got Muhammad Ali and Arnold Palmer representing Louisville and Wake Forest. You've got Gladys Knight, of all people, singing at halftime. And just, I remember sitting in that stadium before the game kicked off and just looking at literally tens of thousands of Wake people. There were all kinds of estimates of around 45,000, which is obviously larger than BB&T Field. And just, it was such an emotional time in the program's history. And to be able to have the seat that I had in 06 to watch that, the incredible run of Riley Skinner and crew was just, you certainly will always remember that. And some of the games leading up to that, the one that sticks out to me is the one at Maryland when the Deacons clinched that berth in the ACC title game, and then that crazy field goal only game with Georgia Tech to get Wake into the Orange Bowl with a really, really good Louisville team was just magical. And to be a part of that was certainly terrific. And wow, the run that Dave Clawson's team is on right now, the program right now with 4 consecutive bowl games, just unprecedented. And I don't have enough good things to say about Dave Clawson and the kind of program he has built at Wake with his staff and the players, the kids that they continue to recruit and get into the program is just, I think it's going to sustain Coach Clawson for a long, long time at Wake and the program as well. And basketball, when you look at all the characters over the last 24 years that I've witnessed, starting with Dave Odom and working on to Skip Prosser and all the way through now to Steve Forbes, who is a character. I think I've spent a few minutes with him on the phone recently, and I think Wake's in good hands with him, and then all the great players over the years. I mean, from Tim Duncan, my first year, all the way through, John Collins, I guess maybe the best over the last few years. So,
yeah,
and all those in between. It's been a great ride, and a lot of fun memories for sure.
You're a highly decorated, incredible broadcaster at the top of his game. You've been here at Wake Forest. Will this be your 25th season?
25 coming up, yeah.
Okay, so what is it about Wake Forest that endears Stan Cotten for this to be your home long term? Why the heck have you stuck around so long?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was at Carson Newman for 12 years, and I was there that long mainly because of the people that I worked with, most notably the late Ken Sparks, who was the football coach there for decades and decades, top 10 wins in college football, died a couple of years ago. But he was my high school football coach when I couldn't play anymore, got me into the business with his program of calling games on the radio. And he stood up with me at my wedding. And I was just there with him because I enjoyed his company. He was just that much a part of my life. And then I woke up one day and figured, if I want to continue in this play-by-play role and want to move on, I'd better do it. I'm not, 21 anymore. So got the chance to go to Marshall and had 4 of the best years of my life at Marshall. I was there when Jim Donnan won his first national title there in 1992, my first season at Huntington, and was there for a couple of years. Then Billy Donovan came as the basketball coach and that crew was Billy Donovan, Anthony Grant, John Pelfrey, Donnie Jones, just an incredible staff all together there at Marshall. Then they went on to Florida, obviously, and really made their mark. And but was there 4 years, then got the opportunity to come to North Carolina with Ben Sutton and ISP and Ron Wellman at Wake Forest. And it was really Ron who brought me to Wake. I think ISP I'd gotten to know Ben Sutton a little bit before, getting the Wake Forest job. And when the Wake Forest job came open, it was kind of like, hey, I want you to have this job, but you got to come through Ron Wellman. You've got to get his stamp of approval. So it was kind of up to Ron. And, Ron brought me in the fall of 1996. And, when you get a new job like that, Les, you're really not sure, how long you'll be there. All I knew that I was in the ACC. I was in North Carolina where I had a lot of family. So it kind of felt like home. And then it didn't take very long, Les, for Wake Forest to really kind of feel like home for me. In a lot of ways, Winston-Salem, this area, reminded me of Knoxville, where I'm from. And I don't know, there was something about Wake Forest University that fit with me personally, I think, on a lot of levels. And it's a great place to be. And when you're at a great place, why leave, right? So it's just, we've just kind of dug in our heels here and we've raised a couple of daughters here, and it's, a couple of German Shepherds now, but, again, year 25 coming up, and it is home right now, and why go anywhere else?
Yeah, I feel the same way, obviously. You mentioned earlier you spoke with new Wake Forest men's basketball head coach Steve Forbes. How'd that conversation go, and what have you found out about him that you can share with Deacon Nation?
Well, when it started to look like maybe he was going to be the guy, I got the Hillbilly Mafia over there in Tennessee, got them all rousted out of bed and checked on him, and it was funny, not funny, but it was to me encouraging that everybody I talked to over there said this guy can really, really coach. And also they said, you're going to have fun with him. So hey, what a great combination, right? So, and I was able to talk with Coach. I think I mentioned that earlier. A few days ago, we talked for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And he's, I think, one of those guys that I think it's a great attribute that, you're maybe with him and you've talked to him, I know, a number of times. Les, you're on the phone with him maybe 5 minutes and you feel like you've known him for 5 years or longer. And he just kind of gave me that feel. And so I think it's going to be a great ride for him. And I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun to partner with him and, go along for the ride. And Coach Mackey called me a couple of days ago as well and felt very good about him. So, and obviously feel great about Randolph. So, I feel that Wake's in a good place with him. I'm excited for this season to get here already. I mean, we got to get to football first and then through that to basketball, but I'm really anxious to see how things change with him, to see the immediate stamp that he puts on his program, and will be a very interested observer, as you will, I know, along the way. So that'll be here sooner than later. And right now, I think all signs are very, very positive. And I think John Curry's done a great job in getting Coach Forbes here.
Have you? I know that you're on social media, not quite as much as I am, but some. But then you also probably talk with other Wake Forest fans and alumni. Do you get a sense about the level of excitement about this hire?
Yeah, I do. I think just people are ready, to take a step forward and have some success and get back to where this program needs to be. I know that Danny and his staff worked awfully hard, but they just weren't able to get over the hump, and that's part of this business, and we all know that. And so I think the fan base is very anxious and ready and willing to support Coach Forbes and this group as much as they can to be a part of that ride I keep talking about. So I've been encouraged by the enthusiasm that he's shown, Coach Forbes, and I think he's going to be an easy person to follow. And so I think the fans are just waiting, to follow him and get this program kind of jump started again.
I think if we had the chance to have a live game in the Joel with fans right now, I think it'd be a pretty good crowd, right?
No, I do. Yeah. Again, I just, they want to see, okay, what's different? What does he bring to the table? How is it going to look compared to what we've been seeing? And that would be true with anybody. So, but he's been very specific about the kind of team he wants to have, a team that's going to play hard and with a lot of grit. And, just a lot of effort. And I think fans will really support that. And again, I'm anxious to see what he puts out there. I think he's done a really, really good job of getting as many players back as he could. And then with other additions, it'll be, again, a whole lot of fun to watch him do his thing. And I think we'll get a good indication early about maybe what we've got with him. And then as the years go by, as he gets more and more and more of his own players, I just think it's going to be a really good ride.
What was really interesting, Stan, is I joined up covering the Deacons in 2014, didn't get here to September, so I kind of missed those first few months of what Clawson built in football. But with this basketball rebuild, we'll both be able to watch this from the ground floor and watch it come from where it's been, unfortunately, the last 10 years, and see how Forbes kind of builds this thing back up. I think it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and it'll be fun for someone like me who looks at it from a different pair of glasses than you and others in the news media. I'll be interested in how you perceive it and how you write about it, how you document it, and then obviously Mark and I will be doing that live, right, on the air. And so there will be a couple of different dynamics working there. So we'll compare notes and see where this thing is after about a month of games. But I think we'll know really, really quickly the brand of basketball that he wants to play. And I think we just need to look, to what's happened at East Tennessee and what he was a part of at Wichita State and Tennessee and Texas A&M. I think he'll put all those things together and what he puts on the table, so to speak, here at Wake. And I think those are a lot of good parts. I think he's learned from a lot of good coaches. And obviously the product he put on court with East Tennessee was just fantastic. So, and again, I've heard so many good things from people in Johnson City and the East Tennessee area and the Knoxville area about his basketball IQ and the way he approaches the game. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Are you excited to see an addition of a 3-point specialist like Jonah Antonio? Because don't you have like a catchphrase that you use often as the ball goes through? What is that?
Give it to him. Yeah. Well, I think I was in a call today, a Wake Forest staff call, and I don't think I'm giving away any secrets here. And Coach Forbes in the little chat box was talking about, we got to have makers, not shooters, right? So, it'll be fun to see the types of kids he does recruit. But yeah, you got to have 3-point specialists in the college game today. I mean, it's the great equalizer when you have other things that aren't so good. But when you have good things and you can add a 3-point maker to that, it's a pretty good recipe.
Well, he hit 58 field goals last year, and 53 of them were behind the arc. I don't know that I've ever seen a stat line like that in my life, Stan. And I know you've seen a little bit more basketball than I have, but that's just unusual, right?
Yeah. Well, the deal is, I mean, you know what you get, right? And the scouting report's not going to be very difficult. When he's in the game, Wake's opponents are going to try to keep him from shooting the three. So you got to get him open some way. And it'll be fun to see how Coach Forbes navigates all of that and changes things around when people try to stop what he wants to do. And but again, he promises a team that'll play hard and smart, hopefully smart, and do the right thing at the right time. So I'm anxious to see it. I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait till basketball gets here. But here we are in May, right, already, and we there's so many unanswered questions about football right now. Is it going to start on time? All those types of things. Will there be fans? Nobody knows any of that right now. So it's hard to kind of talk about basketball right now, given the fact that it's still May and we don't know what the heck we're getting into with football. So we will see.
Well, we're supposed to
now more than ever.
We're supposed to be in Charlotte right now for the ACC baseball tournament. I had at one time, I thought I was going to have a conflict between the ACC baseball semifinals and my tickets to see Elton John for the first time. Little did I know at the time I wouldn't be doing either, So here we are.
Yeah.
Well, Stan, I miss you. I wish we had been able to hang out more the last couple months. Congratulations on your induction into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. It's much deserved. And I can't wait till we're able to hang out again and I'm able to buy you that much sought after hamburger.
Cheeseburger.
Double
cheese. But I appreciate your kind words, Les, your friendship. I really do. And thanks for all you do for Wake. I know you cover the Deacons as well as anybody. And everybody appreciates that. And thanks for having me on today. And looking forward to hanging out with you at your favorite cheeseburger joint. Just bring your wallet.
Thanks a lot, Stan.
You bet. Thank you.